Hello, my name is Neil Rein, and I'm asking for your vote to support my re-election to the Mansfield Select Board on Tuesday, May 11th. It has been my privilege to serve on the Mansfield Select Board over the past 3.5 years. And with your vote, I hope to continue the positive momentum and keep Mansfield moving forward during another 3-year term. As I reflect on my time on the Select Board, I am proud to say that we have accomplished much of what I personally hoped to achieve when I first joined the board in 2017. Here's just a partial list of our many achievements over the past 3.5 years. Our downtown has been vastly improved. This includes the construction of a new 10-foot wide multi-use trail from Old Colony Way all the way to East Street. We also added Harry Chase Place, the small parklet behind Jimmy's Pub. We added new lighting and a new paved walking path to Fulton Pond in the parking lot next to what is now known as Bluestone Bank. All told, we have added 105 parking spots in downtown Mansfield. We also reached an agreement to sell the old fire station and redevelop it into a new restaurant, while honoring the wishes of many here in Mansfield who wanted to preserve the building's historic facade. We brought people and activity to downtown Mansfield with the Fulton Pond Fall Festival in 2019, which I hope we'll be able to host again either this year or next. We launched the annual Mansfield Community Service Awards to celebrate all the great work that volunteers do here in town. In our capacity as light commissioners, we voted to support the construction of a new storage building for Mansfield Electric, which now also boasts the second lowest residential electric rates in the entire state. We completed a new 10-year master plan and launched a marketing campaign to attract new businesses, jobs, and tax revenue to Mansfield. And perhaps most importantly, town leadership worked as a team to keep residents, seniors, students, and town employees as safe as possible during COVID-19. You'll note that I used the pronoun we for this partial list of accomplishments. If there's one thing I have learned during my time on the Select Board, it's that it takes teamwork, patience, and persistence to make progress in municipal government. I have enjoyed collaborating with my fellow Select Board members, our town manager, police chief, fire chief, DPW director, superintendent of schools, and many others. I am proud to say that while I sometimes disagree with other people's views, I try to do so in an agreeable way, and always with the best interests of all of Mansfield's residents in mind. As a small business owner, a founder and executive director of Keep Massachusetts Beautiful, a statewide nonprofit, and a parent whose 2 daughters attended Mansfield's excellent public schools from kindergarten through grade 12, I believe that I bring a broad perspective and an independent mindset to the Mansfield Select Board. So if you agree that things are moving in the right direction here in Mansfield, I ask for your continued support and your vote on May 11th. You can vote in person at Town Hall until noon on May 10th or at Mansfield High School on May 11th between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. or via mail-in ballot. The deadline for requesting a mail-in ballot is May 5th. So thank you, and I hope I have earned your vote for another term on the Mansfield Select Board.
Hello, my name is Walter Wilk. On May 11th, I'm asking for your vote for Select Board. I've been told by some that the Finance Committee is only advisory, so I want to get elected to the Select Board because I feel that I have a better chance to achieve the concrete ideas that I have on how the board can improve residents' quality of life while being fiscally prudent and keeping your tax dollars where they belong, in your wallet. It is time that the Select Board added a financially focused perspective to the debate, and I believe that based on my experience and background, that I am best equipped to bring that skill set to the board. I am a political independent. I am not backed or supported by any major political party, and I'm not looking for endorsements from any local party or elected officials. The race is not about politics. It's about what is best for Mansfield, our neighbors, and our friends. Our Select Board needs to do what is right for our town, and if elected, I do not feel like I have to report back to anyone, other than the voters and taxpayers. I have lived in Mansfield, along with my wife Allison and 3 daughters, for over 26 years. In that time, I have gotten to know many of you through my family, through my involvement in sports, my professional life, and my work on various boards and committees. Some of you may remember me coaching your daughter's soccer or softball team, or when I was part of the team that achieved the revitalization of Plymouth Street and the addition of the turf field without town or state money. Kids still play on that turf field today. Together, we stepped in, raised the money, and financed the fields that your children love so much. Some of you know me professionally, where I served in the Army Reserve for 14 years, or as a managing director at a financial services firm. My day job has allowed me to run a business and connect with a number of developers, companies, and businesses, gaining valuable insight into what makes business move in or out of different towns, what are important factors in those decisions that they make, and how you network as a town with business to achieve the town's goals. I have worked alongside many of our residents while serving on the Capital Improvements Committee, reviewing major projects throughout town. For others, it was on the Downtown Committee, where I work with local businesses to improve parking downtown, change zoning, and where, when I was chairperson, supported the redesign and approved the parking lot behind Jimmy's, the new lighting downtown, the Mansfield signage banners, extension to the bike path, and the new path to Fulton's Pond. That's an example of where we balance fiscal discipline with the quality of life, making it a win-win for all. All of this experience I can bring to the Select Board and help them become more aware and address issues further down the road. Be proactive rather than reactive when the issue is upon us. But I do take significant pride in my work on the Finance Committee. As chair and vice chair of the Finance Committee, I have led an open and honest discussion on Mansfield's finances. I've helped lead the charge to put Mansfield's financial house in order, which paid off greatly during the COVID crisis. In 10 years on the Finance Committee, we brought stronger controls and a cooperative spirit to the budget process. That includes the new one town, one budget approach, with town and school working together rather than like in the old days, fighting over budget dollars. Last year, you read how many of our neighboring towns were forced to cut back on the budget in town services due to revenue loss, due to COVID. But due to our foresight in developing and funding a stabilization account over 8 years, we were able to weather the storm. Even if the government did not provide any additional aid, we would have been fine for several years. Working together has enabled Mansfield to avoid a tax override vote, unlike some neighboring towns. Our budget success is aided by the Finance Committee's commitment to meeting state-suggested fiscal policies and procedures, funding stabilizations accounts, and building up reserve funds that position Mansfield to weather economic challenges like COVID. Keeping our finances strong and the town an affordable place to live will continue to be my top priority. All of the experience I can bring to the Select Board, and unlike what happens now, I can help them become more aware and address fiscal issues proactively and earlier, before they are upon us. I will be proactive rather than reactive when tough issues face us. It's these skills, fiscal awareness, community service, economic oversight, and leadership that I will bring to the Select Board to help Mansfield overcome the challenges that we face today and tomorrow. The pandemic has changed the playing field going forward. We need to adapt now, or our vacancy issues and anemic new growth will have a significant impact on our budget and your taxes and services in the years to come. One of the most important issues to me is making sure that Mansfield is affordable to live for families and our elderly population. I realize that the tax issue is a major concern for many. The lack of actions by the Select Board over the last 12 months continue to indicate they do not agree with its importance. The post-COVID world of municipal leadership and finance will be much different than it is today, and the battle to keep and attract businesses will change and become more intense. I'll provide a few examples of how the Select Board's financial missteps cost you, the taxpayer, money. The first example is the Main Street Fire Station. I'm happy that we finally found a buyer for the old fire station, but ask yourself, how much more in taxes are you paying because we did not auction off the fire station 2 years ago when it was abandoned? As you recall, a number of years ago, residents voted to support the development of the DPW safety complex. Because of the new complex, many of us knew that the main fire station would be abandoned and thus a valuable asset for the town to liquidate. At the time, I had recommended that the RFP committee be formed and the RFP be prepared and released during the spring of 2019, so the building could be sold over the summer of 2019, a few months after it was abandoned. Foxborough had just completed a very similar RFP, and the template was available. The Select Board did not view this as a priority, and the RFP committee was not formed and put into action until after the fire station was abandoned. There was no sense of urgency with the Select Board of getting the materials ready and finalizing the decision on the use and sale of the parcel. I raised the issue of the delay along with other members of the Finance Committee. The lack of focus and urgency by the board delayed the RFP until the middle of the pandemic. While nobody knew the pandemic was coming, this lack of urgency cost you money. The end result was a misstep that an asset that we thought we could sell for $500,000 prior to COVID ended up being sold for $300,000 after COVID hit. In addition, we lost 2 years of taxes, estimated at $25,000 per year, for a total of $50,000. The impact to you was a loss of $200,000 on the sale of the asset and $50,000 in taxes. A total of $250,000 we will not get back. Ask my opponent and the select board representatives how they're going to make this up to you. A second example of a tax-related issue that was put on the back burner is the sale of the 5 or 6 lots taken through tax title. As a quick update, as of last month's FinCom meeting, we were advised that auctioning off these lots was being pushed to the fall of 2021. But after I posted this issue on my Facebook page a few weeks ago, we were informed at last week's Finance Committee meeting that these lots are now back on track and will be auctioned off prior to 6:30. But first, a little history for you on these lots. Several years ago, the FinCom and the prior town accountant analyzed the tax records and identified taxes owed to the town on properties that had been uncollected for, in some cases, over 30 years. We identified the first batch of tax title properties that could go to auction quickly. A second batch that were oddly shaped or wet were slated to go to conservation or other groups. And that left a third batch of between 5 and 8 lots that had title and zoning issues. The first batch was auctioned off 3 years ago, raising around $500,000 and placing those lots back on the tax rolls, almost all with houses, which are helping to spread the tax burden. We've been pushing to move these lots to auction, but it has not been a priority of the select board until I posted about it last month. The end result is that the town is sitting on 5 to 6 lots valued between $500,000 and $1 million in total in the hottest property market for home lots in years. In addition, we are losing between $75,000 and $100,000 in tax revenue per year if they were back on the tax rolls. As with the fire station, how much less would your taxes have been if we auctioned these lots off a year or two ago and they were back on the tax rolls? You may say, why do these two examples matter? They matter because they are examples of not just residents are paying more per year in taxes, but the continued lack of urgency has cost you money. Ask my opponent how he will make up the loss of revenue if he stays on the board. Another burning issue that we cannot seem to get our hands around is vacancy in our industrial parks in downtown. My opponent says that vacancy is not an issue downtown or in the industrial parks, and most locations are filled, and these are not issues. As I said last spring prior to COVID, now it's worse. Drive through and look at the vacancy rate and ask yourself, are we being aggressive enough in keeping and attracting business? I credit the town manager with bringing in a third-party business consulting firm to help Mansfield build a coherent strategy to bring business to town. A Facebook page, marketing collateral, and other basic tools that we had been recommending for years are now being implemented. But this is only a first step. We need to ramp up the speed and urgency as we come out of COVID. We need a pull strategy, one where we proactively reach out to business to keep them and attract new business, not just hoping that some business finds us. And finally, and most importantly, I will bring transparency and open discussion to the select board. An example would have been how I would have handled the town manager's raise process in the fall of 2019 and the spring of 2020. Over the winter of 2019, the select board awarded the town manager a 20% raise without much, if any, open discussion. The second part of the raise was given over the summer of 2020 during the middle of COVID, while we're scrambling for every revenue and expense dollar. I'm not going to argue whether the town manager deserves the raise, but for those of you who have been in town for more than 3 years, the town manager's review, by the way, which was not done when the raise was given, but done last month, in salary discussion was always an open and lively discussion and took several meetings, but not anymore. I would commit to transparency and townspeople feedback on issues like this. This is another issue that will be out in the open. You will not find issues hidden again. I know these areas seem overwhelming, but none appear to be urgent priorities with the board, regardless of residents and finance committee suggestions. If elected, I'll help make each a priority with a timeline for execution while bringing the skills your select board needs to successfully carry Mansfield forward. Visit me on my Facebook page to see my positions. I look forward to earning your vote. Thank you.